Welcome everybody to Sunday Sauce Pot.
How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing?
How you doing, baby?
Hey, forget about it.
Forget about it.
All right, tonight on Sunday Sauce Pot, we got another special guest here from Princeton, New Jersey to Westville section of New Haven, Sculptor Gar Waterman. Welcome to Sunday Sauce Pot. How are you this evening?
I am on Fortune's cap, the very button.
All right. So Gar is taking time out of his busy schedule in Maui while the rest of us are enjoying winter. What's the weather like over there, Gar?
Sunny, 78 degrees. I can see the Pacific Ocean from where I'm working here. It's pretty good.
All right. So a lot of people may not know the name Gar Waterman, but by the end of this video, you're going to know who Gar is. Stone sculptures, public art, glass, metal sculptures. Gar, you've done it all.
Well, yeah, maybe a jack of all trades and master of none. I don't know. I like to work in a bunch of different mediums. I think stone might be my favorite, but you know, I'm an addict to making things, so whatever comes to hand. Here in Hawaii, I'm working in native Hawaiian tropical woods, carving a sea slug. So,
all right. So a sea slug, from a sea slug to a sculptor that, if you're from New Haven, you're probably familiar with the Wooster Street Arch. Well, our friend this evening is the one who designed that arch. And walk us through the process, Gar. How did you become the chosen one to design and sculpt that iconic arch on Wooster Street?
I was actually approached by the city at the time, who they were looking for something to do there on Wooster Street that would sort of give it a ready identity. And Tony Bielecki was working in the city offices then, who I knew, and I think Tony might have been the one, and Ron Cohen's. They approached me and suggested that I might want to come up with a design. So I took the cherry trees from the adjacent Wooster Square Park as a motif, and I'd been working and experimenting using laser cut steel in some of my projects, and that allowed us to create a design that sort of smacked a little bit of old wrought iron, but was done with contemporary technology, and that allowed a degree of complexity that was affordable and otherwise really wouldn't have been possible. So sort of came through the Office of Business Development, and they were looking for some creative ideas for Wooster Street.
And you were inspired by the cherry blossoms there. I mean, they're so beautiful. And how much material was used, and how long did it take you to do it?
Well, I did the design basically. And then because the arch was way beyond the physical capacity of my little studio, I worked with a fabricator in West Haven to fabricate the arch. There was also technically some pretty difficult stuff. The main carrying beams there are hollow rectangular tubing, and to curve to get that arch in tubing is extremely difficult. So that was nothing that I could have put together myself. I work on a much smaller scale. So essentially, I worked with a fabricator to make that arch happen.
And how long did it take you?
The fabrication itself took several months, I think, if I remember correctly. They first tried to roll those curves, and that didn't work. And I think they ended up having to actually fabricate with pieces the main carrying curved elements. And when you're welding steel moves a lot with the heat from the welds. So to get that right was not an easy task.
So whose idea was the lighting with it? Was that your idea as well?
No. It was not meant to be festooned with lights. That was not the original intention. That was the brainchild of the what was his name? One of the Italian restaurant owners there, who had a heavy hand in neighborhood policy, shall we say? And I think it was his idea to put lights on the arch. So once it was installed, I had no control over what the neighborhood was going to do with it. So it initially was just going to be the clean arch and going over the street, and that's it. But the powers that be there wanted lights on it, so it's their arch.
Well, I think Little Italy, the lights enhance what's already been a masterpiece. I think it really adds a really final touch to it. It's such a beautiful arch. When you were creating that, did you use any kind of photos, or was that just coming out of your head, a vision, if you will?
Well, it was again, it was a design, taken from the motif of the cherry trees in the park next door, for which that area is so well known. And I knew the width that we needed, and I worked with an architectural draftsman to do the actual shop drawings for it. But the design of the main cherry tree that's at the top and the surround were things that I laid out myself and then took to have turned into actual working shop drawings.
It's really incredible arch. I mean, it's iconic for Wooster Street. Whenever people are visiting, they're always going down Wooster Street, and it's something that's always seen there. How many people, when it was dedicated in July of 2000, right?
That sounds about right. Yeah, it was a while ago.
Do you recall, was there a lot of people there for it, or how was it? I think I was in Florida when that was in 2000.
Yeah, I think it was a nice ceremony. That's such a great neighborhood, such a big piece of New Haven. I think there was a decent crowd there. I have a hard time remembering exactly, but it was a fun project. It was great, and I was glad to have a hand in something that became a part of the fabric of the city.
So I got to ask you, we're talking about Wooster Street, okay? We're talking about New Haven. So what's your favorite pizza in New Haven?
Well, I'm a big bar fan.
Okay, you like the mashed potato pizza there?
Yeah, the potato and bacon pizza, it's awfully good, but it's a little heavy. I kind of am stuck in a sausage and basil rut. That Longini sausage, New Haven's best.
Probably the country's best. Being away from it, you just don't know what you have until it's gone. right at your fingertips there. It's the best pizza in the country. I've been all over and by far the best pizza. So
it is. Nobody's going to argue with you there. People who don't know about New Haven as a pizza place should, because it is. I think it's some of the best pizza around.
So from all the sculptures that you have done, and you've done quite a lot in your career, which one is your favorite?
Oh, that is an impossible question. You know, some of them work better than others. Some I feel that I was successful and hit it on the head. Most of the time, there's something that I didn't get quite right. The bigger projects are tough because you just never know exactly how the piece is going to play in the space where it's going until it's in there. So scale, it can be tricky. I've made some mistakes with scale over the years, but every piece, every piece is a challenge and kind of an adventure, and a means to the next one. So I can't say I have favorites. I do love to work in stone. That may be a favorite medium, but then again, working in cast glass is really exciting, even though I don't really do much other than come up with the idea because I don't have a hot shop, and pouring heavy cast glass requires a whole different kind of infrastructure. But I love it as a medium, and it requires certain things, as does working with steel or working with stone or wood.
So, being the son of Stan Waterman, underwater filmmaker and the first diving instructor in America, how has that influenced you?
Oh, well, it was the luck of the draw that I was born into the family that I was born into. I started diving when I was 9 and grew up working with my dad, and that was a wonderful thing. It opened up the underwater world to me and very much established a kind of foundation of ocean imagery in my imagination. So a lot of my work is inspired by marine forms still. The piece I'm working on here in Hawaii on this artist residency is a nudibranch sculpture. And I learned to love looking for nudibranchs when I was diving with my dad. So, when you're a kid, your dad does what he does, and that's just the nature of the beast. And I knew what my father did was a little unusual, but as far as I was concerned, it was dad, and we were just very lucky to share some wonderful experiences with him, working with him over the years.
That's pretty incredible, to have a father like that. So, what words of advice would you give up and coming sculptors and artists that are trying to accomplish big things? What advice would you have to give to
them? I'd say go into investment banking. That's what I'd suggest. No, trying to make your life in the arts, no matter what you're doing, whether it's music or sculpture or God help you, poetry, is a very chancy and difficult creature. But there are people out there who are doing it and making their way. And if you're a hopeless addict to making things like I am, you don't have much choice, and you find a way. So I'd say if I had any advice, it would be to stick with it, keep the faith, and be in it for the long run. The short, quick shot and the expectation of recognition, you better sideline that for a while and do your 10,000 hours to learn your craft. Unless you're super lucky and are at the right place at the right time and meet the right people, and then anything can happen.
All right, so people want to find out more about Gar and see some more of your work. What's the best way they can find out about you?
Hey, my website is just my name, www.garwaterman.com, and I'm on Instagram. They can follow the progress of this slug sculpture here in Maui if they want. On Instagram, I'm trying to do a vlog, cutting edge work here. So, but the website, my website has a lot of my work on it, and that's really probably the best place.
All right, Gar. Well, I really appreciate your time here tonight on Sunday Sauce Pot, and I hope you enjoy your time there in Maui.
Thank you, Marty. Nice to chat with you.
All right. Thanks a lot, and all the best to you.
All right, bud. See you later.
Marty